look, what did it take for us to get to the point of an apology? We had to threaten a lawsuit, Jesse. And by the way, we're still entertaining it. We're talking to some of the best lawyers out there that are experts in this. And as you know, these things can be very complicated. There's a lot of facts and circumstances around it. But we're not going to let this go, because you should not be able to smear 5,000 high school and college kids and then just be able to walk away with it. And the reason they felt they needed to do that, Jesse, is because if they told their audience the truth, that when gas is the most expensive it's been, flights are super expensive, that 5,000 kids decided to spend a weekend in summer traveling across the country to go hear from conservative speakers, maybe the audience of The View would think twice about all of their ideas. That's why they felt so compelled to try to smear our wonderful summit this last.
What do you get when Charlie Kirk slaps The View with a $100 million lawsuit, and Sunny Hostin responds not with poise or professionalism, but with a full-scale emotional implosion, broadcast live to millions? You get a legal circus, a televised daytime drama, and an unintentional comedy special all tangled into one glorious mess. This isn't just a case, it's a cultural spectacle where the gavel meets glam, and outrage meets overreaction. As the legal filing hits, Sunny short-circuits like a malfunctioning Roomba lost in a maze of her own contradictions. Whoopi glares across the table with that now iconic blend of detached disdain and exhausted disbelief, as Charlie plays the unlikely role of the wounded truth-teller, bravely facing the crossfire of shrill soundbites and weaponized victimhood. This isn't a lawsuit, it's psychological theater in high definition. Buckle up as The View's table becomes a war room, the cameras roll, and America's favorite pundits spiral into unscripted chaos. There are tears, threats, lawyers, and enough emotional fallout to make Judge Judy retreat into silent meditation. And here's the twist, the first person to crack under pressure isn't holding a subpoena. Welcome to the trial of the century, brought to you by Daytime Television.
Kirk's the founder and CEO of Turning Point USA and the author of the new book, The College Scam. So, Charlie, do you accept The View's apology?
I mean, regardless of whether or not I accept it, the question is, do our students accept it? That's really what's at heart here. They went after our 5,000 students at our event there, of high school and college kids. And look, I get attacked all the time. People say false things. I'm a public figure. But when you go after 16 and 17-year-olds that travel from across the country, that then have to live for the rest of their life with a shadow over them because someone at ABC says that they might be linked to neo...
Ah, yes. The glorious $100 million lawsuit. A figure so fantastically oversized it belongs in a Bond villain's ransom note or the budget of a Marvel reboot, not a courtroom. But Charlie Kirk doesn't do small. This isn't just a legal claim. It's a statement piece. It's the Rolex of retribution, the private island of indignation. Picture Kirk drafting this lawsuit on a yacht, sipping iced coffee brewed with tears from previous culture war casualties, plotting a counterstrike so flamboyant it makes tabloid drama look like amateur hour. He's not just suing a talk show, he's crafting a cinematic saga with all the hallmarks of a big-budget blockbuster. Betrayal, bombast, moral posturing, and the kind of legal fury that comes with its own soundtrack. This lawsuit isn't about money, not really. It's a branding moment. A digital age duel where viral outrage becomes currency and headlines become ammunition. The figure alone demands attention, conjuring fantasies of high-stakes courtroom showdowns, dramatic cross-examinations, and Sunny Hostin testifying while clutching cue cards and sipping almond milk lattes. Kirk knows exactly what he's doing. He's using the price tag not just to stun the opposition, but to wake up the audience. And whether or not he wins in court, he's already won the spotlight.
Disgusting, gross elitism and her complete out-of-touch nature with respect to the rest of the world. Sunny Hostin goes on The View and decides now would be a great time to dump all over the so-called uneducated.
What we did not have is white women who voted about 52%, right, for Donald Trump. Uneducated white women, is my understanding. You have Latino men actually voting more for him, and you have and black men was not the story. We're not the story here because they voted almost 80% for the vice.
And now the target of this legal broadside, The View. That swirling vortex of performative outrage where nuance goes to die and hot takes go to scream therapy. Once envisioned as a panel of diverse female voices thoughtfully dissecting news and culture, it's now more akin to a caffeinated cage match masquerading as intellectual discourse. Forget insight. What you get is a rotating chorus of indignation, where every dissenting view is treated like an act of war and every segment ends in exhausted applause or stunned silence. Watching The View isn't like tuning into a discussion. It's like stepping into an ideological mosh pit with manicured nails and 5 producers yelling, "More drama!" in the earpieces. The show has perfected the art of theatrical outrage, transforming pedestrian celebrity gossip into pseudo-religious confessions and turning any policy disagreement into an existential crisis. It's not a talk show anymore. It's reality TV dressed in the trappings of commentary. And now, for the first time in years, someone's actually holding the mirror up to it. Charlie's lawsuit doesn't just name The View. It indicts the entire ecosystem of sanctimony it represents.
Because you didn't go to college doesn't mean you're stupid, and it doesn't mean that you don't have wisdom. You can go to college and get a bunch of irrelevant facts about how men can allegedly give birth or whatever they teach. But I said this to our team. I said working people, the muscular class, including working women, they are so in favor of Trump, and they don't want to be called stupid or uneducated.
Picture this. A round table of professional interrupters who treat passive-aggressive eye rolls as if they're Socratic dialogue and confuse moral superiority with actual insight. Welcome to The View, America's favorite estrogen-fueled echo chamber, where rhetoric takes a backseat to theatrics, and conviction is measured by decibel levels. For years, this clucking congregation has peddled emotional overreaction as political commentary, dressing up personal vendettas in the guise of bold truth-telling. But let's call it what it is. A ratings machine powered by outrage, running on the fumes of overcooked takes and pre-approved applause. The slightest pushback is met not with reflection, but with synchronized gasps that sound more choreographed than a Broadway number. It's not discourse, it's daytime kabuki theater with a panel that treats skepticism like blasphemy and frames any disagreement as misogyny. But now, someone's flipped the script. Charlie Kirk didn't just throw a punch. He pulled the fire alarm on the whole circus. The lawsuit is a siren. A flaming arrow launched directly into the heart of televised self-righteousness. And suddenly, the queens of daytime drama are facing the very accountability they so freely demand from everyone else.
Points conference, the were in the front of out there in front of the conference with anti-Semitic slurs, and
I think it's important that every single person that attended that turning point, every Republican speak up against the SWAT. Because against the flags that were waved.
You let them in. You let them in and you knew what they were. Right. So you are...
Enter Charlie Kirk, a man who didn't just tweet angrily into the void or mumble complaints on a podcast. No, he suited up, stepped into the gladiatorial arena, and shook hands with the proverbial tiger. Filing a $100 million lawsuit against The View wasn't a cry for attention. It was a calculated cannon blast aimed at the loudest megaphone of performative moralism on TV. But this lawsuit? It's not really about the money. It's about the message. It's about finally saying what millions have thought but few have dared to voice. That smug, unearned certainty parading as wisdom has gone unchecked for far too long. Kirk's legal salvo isn't just a courtroom maneuver. It's a cultural intervention. He's not suing a talk show. He's suing an institution of ideological immunity. He's throwing a wrench into the emotional assembly line that churns out righteous indignation like it's on a quota. This is less a lawsuit than a declaration of war, on noise, on nonsense, and on a media complex that thinks volume equals virtue. The View has operated like a moral monopoly for years. Now, someone's calling for an audit. And whether this ends in courtroom victory or public backlash, Kirk's move is a line in the sand. A refusal to let televised hysteria keep masquerading as national dialogue.
Now we begin with a shocking apology just a short time ago from the ladies of The View to Turning Point USA. A war of words broke out after the conservative group was rallying the next generation of voters at its youth summit in Tampa, Florida this weekend. And the liberal panel just couldn't help themselves. The group sent a scathing cease and desist letter after hosts on The View suggested that Turning Point had embraced neo-Nazis who showed up outside.
Let's drop the pretense. The View is not a talk show. It's a midday melodrama stitched together with power blazers, cross-talking outrage, and more makeup than a Broadway matinee. It parades as a roundtable of reason, but functions more like a gladiator pit of moral preening. And at the center of it all? Sonny Hostin, a former federal prosecutor turned panelist-in-chief, who now delivers legal analysis, with the flourish of a lifestyle influencer selling crystal-infused bath bombs. Her law degree, once a symbol of real-world experience, now serves as a prop in a theater of self-assurance, tossed into debates like seasoning on a particularly spicy grievance stew. But irony, as always, is undefeated. Because Sunny now finds herself the unlikely co-star in a real lawsuit, one that doesn't end with applause or commercial breaks. The predictable defenses are already cued: misogyny, censorship. But this isn't about silencing women. It's about holding pundits accountable when their free speech becomes libel. Daytime TV has long weaponized opinion as gospel, and now the legal consequences have caught up to the monologues. Kirk's lawsuit isn't just paperwork, it's a reckoning. A long overdue reality check for a show that spent years dodging the fallout of its own rhetoric. Now, someone's asking for receipts, and this time, moving on won't cut it.